All right, Dalton, checking in at number 6 of our top 10 edge defenders in college football is the only true sophomore on this list. That is Rueben Bain Jr. from Miami, Florida, man. We are all in on the Hurricanes, especially their defensive line, and the biggest reason for that is their stud sophomore edge defender who was unbelievable last year as a true freshman, Dalton.
Yeah, he sure was. And I think it reminded me watching him a little bit of when we were watching Peter Woods last time with our defensive tackle rankings. This dude is so much stronger than his age would tell you. Oh, it's crazy. Like his lower body is club move. Like there's a couple times I saw him just smacking offensive linemen basically across the head and they went flying. Like Rueben Bain is so strong. He's as strong as seniors right now. It's nuts. But you talk about rushing the passer, especially with power. He can do it in the run game. His strength is just unreal. Like holding gaps, holding his ground, using his hands, like a violent nature of using his hands. And on top of all of that, he's basically a top 30 pass rusher across the board as a true freshman, which is crazy. Like Bane's build, you would never guess looking at him, especially when you watch him from like the end zone cam. You would never guess he was a freshman ever. Yeah. He's like huge. He's so strong. And I just got the same vibe as Peter Woods, where I'm just like, dude, I don't know what kind of workouts you were doing in high school, but it must have been something freaky because that is not a freshman with freshman play strength at all.
Dude, not at all. And my favorite stat, though, when we're going through these guys, he has an 89.3 pass rushing grade last year. That's the second best we've ever seen by a Power 5 true freshman. I believe you just told me, too. Second best overall grade we've ever seen by an FBS true freshman edge defender as well, right? And the number one player on that list, you see your second best, you're like, okay, who was better than Ruben Bain as a true freshman? How about Myles freaking Garrett? How about the NFL Defensive Player of the Year? How about the best edge defender in the world? That was the only true freshman who was better than Rueben Bain in terms of overall grade and in terms of pass rushing grade the last year, man. He was unbelievable. And just for reference, the guys right behind Rueben Bain in terms of that pass rushing grade in the Power 5, at number 3 is Harold Perkins. From LSU, who's going to lead probably our linebackers list when we do that next week. He had an 87.6 pass rushing grade. At number 4 was Nick Bosa, another former defensive player of the year, one of the best edge defenders in the world as well, now playing for the 49ers. He had an 85 grade in 2016. And at number 5 is Dexter Lawrence, a top 2 or 3 D tackle in the NFL right now. He had an 83.1 pass rushing grade in his true freshman year in 2016. So Rueben Bain Jr. was second to only Myles Garrett, and the guys right behind him are Harold Perkins, Nick Bosa, and Dexter Lawrence. We're all going to be future stars probably in the NFL, at least for Perkins and Dexter Lawrence and Nick Bosa, already superstars in the NFL as well. So that is a very, very good list for him to be at. And you mentioned the run defense too, man. 18 run defense stops, tied for 6th in the ACC. He's a bigger edge defender at 275 pounds. He has an advanced hand usage, I think, for a player his age as well. He is going to be probably the number one player on this list next year, man, and I cannot wait to see what he has for an encore in his sophomore year.
Yeah, I agree. The funny part for me is he might be the top player on a list, but I'm actually not 100% sure it's going to be on this list. You look at how he's built. Okay, so here's the weird part. His PFF gas score, his athleticism score, was only a 30, right? Okay. And you look at how he's built. Like I look at him from like the end zone cam when you watch Miami's defense from the back shot. His legs, like his lower body, he looks more similar to the interior guys that he's playing with. And I'm going to do a quick grades breakdown, right? So here's overall grades, okay? At whichever spot he's lined. When he's lined up as an outside edge player, outside of the tackles, he graded an 80.7. There were times when he was lined up over the tackles as like a 4-eye or a 5 technique when he graded a 64.7. That's kind of not the position that gets played a whole lot anymore. But when he lined up between the tackles, B gaps or further in, he actually had the highest grade of that list, an 89.9. And you look at how he's built and you look at the power he plays with, and he was listed at 275 last year. That's the one thing I actually wonder if moving forward, if he's actually an elite interior player. Now, maybe he gets quicker. Maybe like the PFF gas score, it's a relatively new thing. So I don't know if that's 30th percentile classified as an edge player or if that's a size speed thing. and it kind of goes across the board. But I actually wonder if I think you mentioned in our top 10 rankings episode about overall edge rankings and true freshmen and things like that. And you mentioned Dexter Lawrence, and he's not as big as Dexter Lawrence. Dexter Lawrence is huge. But did Lawrence come into Clemson as an edge player and then move inside?
I think he was always a D tackle, if I'm remembering correctly. I believe he was always D tackle. Yeah.
Bane's build, especially in his lower body, and kind of like he's not. You can see he's not the most explosive dude right now. Like his biggest strength is his play strength. He is stupid strong. He's strong as a friggin' ox. But I just wonder, seeing the grade breakdown, watching the film with those breakdowns, I wonder if long term, if he becomes like Peter Woods, and he's just one of if not the best interior players. And it's great to be flexible too. I think it's awesome that he can play any spot, because last year he played all over their defensive line. But I'm curious what the best fit would be if he just played. If you had to pick one position for him to play, is he a 3-tech? Is he an edge player? Is like what is it there? Because his build, his lower body looks like an interior player.
Dude, I kind of love this because Miami has the best edge room in the country. Their D tackles are still really good, don't get me wrong, which is why they're number 3 in my defensive line rankings. I like Simeon Barrow, I like CJ Clark, I like Marley Cook. But if you move Bane to D tackle, you could probably put Barrow as the other D tackle for you guys. And then you got Tyler
Barron and Alston. Like, their pass rush package is probably going to look like that with Bane and Barrow inside. Like, you're going to have one of those, like the Giants used to call them, those NASCAR packages, and you'll have Barron and Alston outside and Barrow and Bane inside. Like, God, there's too many B names there. I'm getting that mixed up. But that's like they might be there's a nickname coming for that unit soon or something. It's coming. But
and we have
I think on passing downs, it's definitely gonna be that.
Yeah, and we haven't even mentioned him yet, Dalton. Akeem Mesidor is back for another year too. He only played in 2 games last year due to a foot injury. The year before, he was 5th among Power 5 edges with an 87.2 grade. So you're already 4 deep at edge, like really, really good. Like, people would kill to have any of those 4 as their starting edges. So if you move Bane inside, then you could still be 3 deep at edge with Bane at D tackle, with Simeon Barrow, and CJ Clark and Marley Cook could be your backups. Like, that is an unbelievable defensive line. And I think Bane, I agree with you, man, that he could move inside and could be even more dominant. And the grading profile shows you that, man. So I really, that's a great shout out by you, because I haven't even thought about that. But it makes sense. And I think even you say long term, as soon as this year, man, because of how good that edge room they have already. And it's like, okay, like, if you want to get your best guys out there, move Bane inside, get Barron and Alston and Mesidor out there as well. Simeon Barrow with, like, oh man, that's a fun proposition for the Miami Hurricanes, man. Is there anything that you I know you just kind of broke it down, like what you want to see Bane do, but is there anything like negatives that you see on his true freshman tape, or was it pretty good all around?
It's really, really good. I just think I wonder if he's going to stay at 275 or heavier, if he can get more explosive and play on the edge. If he does, he's the freak of all freaks. If he can play more explosive at his current size, that's just the question for me. Is it a tweener thing? Is he a D tackle? There's position question for me, because of I don't see him as like that first step quick, like get off explosiveness, right? That we see from a lot, like Myles Garrett, even at his size, is wicked explosive, right? We're making that comp right now. I don't see Bane built the same as Garrett at the moment. Now, maybe there's some adjustments. Maybe he takes a few pounds off, and maybe he plays at 260 or 265 and adds that explosiveness, keep playing on the edge. But as he was built his freshman year, he didn't look that explosive off the line of scrimmage. It was his strength that was the biggest strength. So the position question for me is going to be really interesting moving forward, in part because I don't think at 275 at least he had elite explosiveness.
Yeah, I think if you put him inside, man, he goes from at least from our metrics, a below average athlete at edge to a great athlete on the interior, man. If you put him inside, so I think that's great. Before we leave, though, I wanted to ask you really quick, putting you on the spot here: Peter Woods or Rueben Bain? Who would you rather have heading to their sophomore year? It's a Sophie's choice, man. It's a difficult choice, but
I think Bane. I think the pass rush is a little more developed right now, and the versatility helps too. Like the fact he does have edge experience. And I'm talking about when he lined up outside the tackles, he still had an 80 grade, which is really good, especially for a freshman. He just had close to a 90 when he was inside. So no, I would take Bane, I think, and it shows you how loaded this edge group is. That even a guy as good as him as a freshman is still number 6.
Yeah.
We've seen a little more in the pass rush. They're both spectacular. Peter Woods is as good a run defender as anybody, man. I think I would just lean with the pass rush with Bane a little bit over Woods.
Yeah, I would probably agree with that as well. But that's what we got for Rueben Bain, the best sophomore, maybe defensive lineman. We'll say edge defender, defensive lineman that we have in college football right now.